Matthew Desmond, Poverty, by America. Dive into Poverty, by America by Matthew Desmond, where the harsh realities and pervasive challenges of modern poverty take center stage. This enlightening book exposes how worker exploitation, consumer manipulation, and ineffective social safety nets contribute to the plight of the underprivileged. Desmond calls for systemic change, urging for the increase in minimum wages, empowering unions, and restructuring financial systems to provide better choices for the impoverished. Through a thoughtful examination of policies and practices that disproportionately disadvantage low-income individuals, he advocates for the dismantling of exclusionary zoning laws and the integration of affordable housing. Get ready to explore practical solutions like redefining taxation to curb corporate greed and community-based initiatives to foster inclusion. This is an essential read for anyone seeking to understand and combat the multi-layered issue of poverty in America today.
Justice for workers. Imagine a world where employees earn a fair wage, and temporary workers enjoy the same rights and benefits as full-time staff. Unfortunately, this isn't the reality for many people today. Worker exploitation persists, hidden behind the facade of modern economies. Consider wages, they've been nearly stagnant for decades. Despite the escalating cost of living, inflation-adjusted salaries for most Americans have barely risen since 1979. In 2020 alone, over 1 million people earned wages at or below the minimum threshold of $7.25 per hour. Corporations often resist raising wages, fearing a potential hit to their profits and market value. The solution lies with legislative action. A call for Congress to radically overhaul wage laws is urgent. This involves not only raising the minimum wage but ensuring that it's regularly updated to reflect economic changes. However, entrusting wage regulation solely to Congress may not suffice. The author proposes giving the central government or a designated official, such as the Secretary of Labor, the power to adjust minimum wages. An even more progressive idea suggests enabling employees and employers to negotiate wages through collective bargaining. Beyond wages, the reliance on temporary workforces exacerbates economic insecurity. By employing independent contractors, companies like Apple escape the responsibility of providing benefits to a major part of their workforce. Out of approximately 750,000 workers, only around 63,000 are directly employed by Apple. This means many workers do not have access to crucial benefits such as sick days, overtime pay, or unemployment insurance. Moreover, the temporary status bars them from promotions because they are not considered part of the company's core staff. Union power emerges as a beacon of hope. Historically, unions have championed the rights to fair pay and conditions. Yet, their influence waned in the 1980s as corporations found ways to undermine strikes by hiring replacements. With many employers continuing to thwart unionization through threats, a staggering 94% of private sector workers remain voiceless. New labor laws can bridge this gap, simplifying union formation and enabling sectoral bargaining. This approach could empower a diverse array of workers, from independent contractors to permanent employees. By organizing workers across entire industries, the collective voice could demand justice and equity in the workplace. Breaking free from exploitation. Exploitation continues beyond the workplace, embedding itself firmly in the daily lives of the economically disadvantaged through rampant consumer exploitation. Consider, for example, the simple transaction of purchasing a handmade bag worth $25, yet a vendor demands $100. This disparity encapsulates the essence of consumer exploitation, a pervasive force that sneaks into various aspects of life, particularly within the rental housing sector. A glaring manifestation of this issue is found in rental housing, where despite a 200% rise in median rents across America from 2000 to 2021, renter incomes lag significantly. Starkly, rents in impoverished neighborhoods often mirror those in wealthier areas, despite the stark contrast in the quality of housing. Properties in low-income neighborhoods, often deteriorating and aged, still manage to yield double the profits for landlords compared to upscale communities, highlighting a well-oiled system of exploitation. Addressing housing exploitation involves creating genuine choices for the poor. Public housing could be a viable option if adequately funded, complete with amenities such as fitness centers and swimming pools. Government intervention is imperative in channeling funds to meet the growing demand for such accommodations. Homeownership is another pathway, as mortgage payments can be more feasible than rent. However, banks shy away from financing less expensive homes due to profitability concerns. Here, expanded government-backed financing for first-time homebuyers could bridge the gap. Additionally, the concept of tenant-owned and operated apartments presents an opportunity for empowerment. By enabling tenants to purchase and manage their buildings, cooperative living becomes a reality, sidelining negligent landlords and enhancing tenant control. Support from local authorities for tenant rights organizations and cooperatives is crucial in this transition. Beyond housing, marginalized communities encounter exploitation through fringe financial institutions like check cashers and payday lenders. Check cashing services skim off 1 to 10% of paychecks, slicing into workers' earnings. Payday loans, with staggering annual percentage rates reaching 664%, illustrate another layer of exploitation. Borrowers, seeking a $300 loan, can find themselves ensnared by fees amounting to $520 for a mere $375 credit. Eradicating such financial pitfalls requires not the obliteration of these services but the provision of more credit alternatives. A promising step lies in enabling institutions like the Federal Reserve or U.S. Postal Service to offer small-dollar loans, alongside regulatory changes encouraging commercial banks to provide similar solutions. Ultimately, the antidote to consumer exploitation lies in the proliferation of choices. As the spectrum of options widens, the grip of exploitation loosens, empowering individuals to reclaim control over their economic destiny. Empowering the economically disadvantaged with diverse opportunities not only levels the playing field but also fosters resilience against the exploitative forces that seek to undermine their well-being. Reshaping the welfare state. Imagine a society where the government actively strives to alleviate poverty, and yet, the benefits often miss those who need them most. While it's true that the United States hosts one of the world's largest welfare systems next to France, with significant growth in anti-poverty spending since 1980, the reality remains that these resources are not always well distributed. Programs such as Medicaid, food stamps, and unemployment benefits play crucial roles, especially highlighted during times of crisis like the COVID-19 pandemic. These initiatives, along with income-boosting tax credits like the Earned Income Tax Credit and Child Tax Credit, represent significant efforts to support struggling families. Unfortunately, many individuals remain unaware of their eligibility for these aids, and for those who do know, the application process can be a daunting obstacle. Consider the Social Security disability insurance, where only a third of applicants succeed without professional help, highlighting the need for increased awareness and streamlined application processes to boost participation rates. The challenge extends beyond just access and awareness. A deeper issue lies in how federal welfare programs tend to favor the affluent more than the impoverished. Homeowner subsidies, for instance, disproportionately benefit high-income families, with similar trends seen in tax breaks. Such disparities become evident when examining tax contributions, where the poorest and wealthiest Americans unexpectedly find themselves contributing similar proportions of their income, a mere 23% for the richest, a stark contrast to their wealth. Addressing these inequities goes beyond raising awareness. It calls for revising tax policies to ensure fairness, such as reinstating higher top marginal tax and corporate tax rates reflective of past decades. The government must also combat tax avoidance with vigor. The tactics of affluent households and corporations to skirt tax responsibilities cost the U.S. significantly each year, money that could otherwise bolster essential anti-poverty programs. Redirecting the funds from improved tax enforcement could pave the way for transformative changes, securing affordable housing, eliminating hunger, and subduing health-related issues for those most in need. This holistic approach recognizes the essential need to rebalance social safety net policies, aligning them with the true objective of reducing poverty and ensuring the well-being of all citizens, especially the underprivileged. Bridging communities. Imagine a society where everyone genuinely shares equal opportunities, yet a hidden barrier persists in keeping some on the outside. Just as big and bold as the strides made since the racial divides of the 1900s might seem, the undercurrents of exclusion still ripple through modern-day America. The culprit? Exclusionary zoning laws, which quietly dictate what kind of housing can exist in any given neighborhood. Masquerading as standard regulations, these laws draw invisible lines based on property types, often linked to socioeconomic status. Wealthier people live in grand estates while others find their space in more modest apartments. By barring various kinds of housing development, these laws effectively send a subtle message: only certain people belong here. This systematic exclusion isn't just a paper issue, it leads to real disadvantages for those left out. Exclusive communities hold within them safe neighborhoods, outstanding schools, and an overall better quality of life. However, exclusionary zoning laws keep many from accessing these benefits, reinforcing a cycle of inequality. To break this cycle, the government must tackle the issue on two fronts. Step 1 involves stripping away the restrictive regulations that block affordable housing development. Step 2 requires integrating affordable housing into neighborhoods, encouraging a mix of different socioeconomic backgrounds. Change won't happen overnight, but strategic action can pave the way. Incentives for communities open to affordable housing might come in the form of property tax breaks or increased funding for local public services, such as schools and sewer systems. Conversely, communities clinging to exclusionary practices could face the loss of federal financial support for maintaining their public services. The overarching goal of inclusionary zoning policies is clear: to merge the paths of the prosperous and the less privileged, fostering a sense of belonging and shared prosperity. This shift demands effort and resolve, yet the potential benefits for low-income families and the broader community make it undeniably worthwhile. With strategic steps and committed action, bridging these unseen divides can forge a more inclusive and equitable society for all. Spark change against poverty. Engage actively in the battle against poverty by making deliberate choices in your daily life. While governments and large corporations hold significant influence, individual actions can drive change. Foster integration in your community to better understand and support those struggling, which can build a stronger push for anti-poverty initiatives. Be mindful of where you spend your money, support companies that value their workers by purchasing their products and recommending their services. These conscientious choices can ignite a powerful movement, essential for transforming societal norms and uplifting marginalized communities in the United States.
Matthew Desmond's Poverty by America embarks on an imperative journey to unshackle the impoverished from systemic exploitation and exclusion. He presents a robust critique of wage stagnation, unaffordable housing, and flawed welfare systems, urging collective action and policy reform. The core takeaway is clear: poverty is not just an economic issue but a societal choice, perpetuated by certain structures and norms. Desmond underscores the need for extensive reform, be it through empowering workers, increasing minimum wages, reforming zoning laws, or creating new financial pathways for the marginalized. Moreover, the book invites individuals to partake in this transformation by making informed, ethical consumer choices and supporting businesses that reject exploitative practices. Overall, Desmond paints a pathway forward, revealing that eradicating poverty requires a cooperative effort, both at a grassroots level and in the halls of power. Be inspired to not only understand poverty's roots but also be part of the solution to end it,